listening to Inside Real Estate, your source for all things mortgage and real estate related. The show that brings you all the hottest topics and insights directly from those who know it most. Now sit back and enjoy the show.
Yes, Paul Apostolakis, Brad Weisgerber. No salve. Hey there. Did you just slide in, dude?
It did. I made an intro.
Was that on purpose?
I don't know. It was just a random thing that popped into my head. ADHD, he's a bitch.
All right. Well, you don't have Sal today. He's got a backed up basement. So that's unfortunate. But it's a shitty situation because literally shit came back up through his pipes.
Yep.
Yeah. So welcome to another episode of Inside Real Estate, people. For those of you that are finding us for the first time, thank you for tuning in. And those of you coming back, thank you for tuning in again. You can find us on Facebook /IRE podcast. You can go to IREpodcast.com. You can go to YouTube. You can go to any podcast app to find us. Please like, share, subscribe, and hit that notification bell to be alerted of any and all new episodes. Today we have an old favorite on the show, Tanya Eberhardt. She's a personal branding specialist, founder of BrandFace, best-selling author, and co-host of the Be Bold podcast. Tanya is everything for personal branding, Brad. I mean, she knows. I mean, she's going to give you some tips today. I
think you need her help badly.
I need her help?
Yes.
Why do I need her help?
You got a terrible brand.
Shut up. I do not have a terrible personal brand. I don't believe that at all.
Okay. Well, first step is acceptance. So
where's your personal brand at?
My personal brand doesn't matter because
it doesn't. You're right. It actually doesn't matter. You're right. Nobody cares. All right.
I'm comfortable in my own skin. I've accepted my brand. I'm cool.
You've accepted your brand. That's I'm sure. We'll talk to Tanya about it. So without further ado, let's get Tanya on the show. Tanya, welcome back to the show. How are you?
Thank you. I'm great, guys. I love being a fly on the wall for your intro.
Yeah. Would you agree that my personal brand is shit?
You don't know your personal brand.
No, I don't agree, but I do have a test.
All right. There's a test.
There's a test to see if your brand is representing you the way that it should be.
Really?
Yes,
I'm kind of scared. What is the test?
You're only scared if you know it's bad.
Okay, so I can ask both of you these same 5 questions, and let's just see if Brad's even happy with his brand once he finishes answering these questions.
All right, here we go. We're going to do this live on air. Let's do it.
Let's do it. Okay, so these are the 5 questions that every great brand must answer. Okay, now if you answer all of these correctly, then the question remains is, does everybody know these things? Are you putting it out there? Right. But it all starts with this. If you can't answer these, then you don't even have a start of a brand. Right. Okay. So number 1, what sets you apart specifically from others in your field?
My good looks.
Ding. Okay. That's awesome. We can work with that.
What about you, buddy?
My good looks.
What about you?
Overall general knowledge of the whole industry.
Yeah, but nobody knows that.
I don't give a shit.
Nobody knows so Brad is so anti-brand, Tanya. It's really gonna be funny. Okay, next question.
Okay, next question is, who exactly do you serve? In other words, who are your ideal customers? You can't say anybody that fogs a mirror or anybody looking for a loan.
This is a personal brand. This sounds like a business brand.
Yeah, we're gonna say that anybody looking to buy a house that is qualified to do so.
Okay. What I would do is narrow that even more. Okay, just depending on who it is you're looking to serve. Are they people, and I know you will do business with anybody. But there's a big difference in actually doing business and taking the business and spending your time, money, and effort marketing to, quote, everybody looking for a loan, right?
Yeah.
So that's why, and there's a great observation you said, Brad. It sounds like a business brand, not personal brand, but your personal brand reflects on your business. You are the reason you're building. Your brand is your business. In other words,
Brad, which is a problem.
People
for you.
People don't do business with a logo. They do business with a person. So the person has to be able to answer those questions. A business can't answer those questions. It's the person behind the business.
Next question.
All right.
I like this. I like how we're starting the show.
Okay. how do you serve? Specifically, how do you serve that person? And you can't just
Paul,
say, I
I can
get
answer
him a
for
home
you.
loan.
Paul
What?
serves on his knees.
I was going to say with my mouth. I was gonna
Wow,
say
this
it.
went south really fast, guys. I mean, you can still work with it. It's just going to go in a totally different arena.
Totally different direction. Yeah.
A totally different industry too, guys.
Yeah. Yeah. So for us, it would be we serve them by consummating loans for them.
Okay. That's still not
I would say
specific
it's-
enough though.
I would say we serve them by providing customer service, because we don't really selling a loan is more of a side product in our business. We're more service.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
I like that.
Okay.
So answering the phone at all hours and being there for them throughout the process.
Okay. Now here's a little catch, a little caveat. Everybody's going to say that. So what can you say?
Well, they're all full of shit.
Yeah, you can say that
It's
too.
fine. You can fucking call a mortgage company at 7:00 on a Friday night. No one's going to answer.
That is true.
I would agree with you on that. So we've just got to figure out a strong way to get that out in your brand messaging. We answer the phone when no one else will, right?
Yeah.
We answer questions no one else can.
Yeah.
We help you through a process that no one else is equipped to do, right? Like, be bold about it.
Yeah.
Be very bold about it.
I love that. Okay, last question.
Okay, well, there's two more.
Oh, there's two more.
So there was what sets you apart, who do you serve, how do you serve them? This one is what qualifies you to serve them. There are lots of people with a license to practice all kinds of things.
Yeah.
What qualifies you to serve that specific person you are attempting to serve?
So for me, it would be my years of experience in the industry, along with the fact that I have a really deep understanding of guidelines.
I feel like this question is very similar to the first question, which is what sets you apart. I feel like they're the same answer.
Okay, so
what sets you apart is going to be what qualifies you, right?
Not necessarily. Okay, so take, for instance, some of the things that set you apart are both professional and personal. That's why it's called personal branding. So we are outdoor enthusiasts, for instance. We go kayaking, we hike, we camp, we do a lot of those things that kind of set us apart, and people can see that about us, and we're a little bit different, and they can see, okay, I can have a conversation about this too that opens the door, and they get to know who we are as a person and what things that we might have in common with them on a personal level. But what qualifies us to serve them doesn't have anything to do with camping or hiking. What qualifies us is the 30 plus years of branding and marketing experience we've had, specifically helping people who are the face of their brand to become more recognized in their community as the authority in their industry. Okay, so those can be two different things, but to your point, Brad, they could be the same if you don't have something personal about you that really kind of jumps off the page.
Got it.
Gotcha.
Got it. Okay.
Right. Last question is, how does it make their life better? Probably the best question you could ask. And it needs to be specific. It's not, well, we get them the home they want, right? Or we get them the money they need. It has to be more specific than that. So specificity is really important in all of those answers.
Got it. All right. Well, we just got a 101, like a tutorial 101 real quick. I love that. So Tanya, just to backtrack a little bit, what have you been up to? I know you, since we had you on the show last time, we did your show, which was awesome. We got to do that. Tell us a little bit about what's been going on in your world.
Well, not too long ago, I finished my dad's memoir. Because another thing that a lot of people remember about me personally is that I come from a moonshine family. I was raised in the moonshine capital of the world, and it also happens to be where NASCAR got its start.
Right.
And that's because of the moonshiners. They would put the big motors in these cars. They were running from the revenuers. Yeah. And so what's new in my world is I finished my dad's memoir, which was about being a child of moonshiners and alcoholics, which that part didn't turn out too well, but because he actually became an alcoholic and an addict as well. He's recovering and he's doing extremely well these days.
That's great.
But that book is about his life and his journey. And then in January, we'll be starting a podcast about moonshining.
No kidding. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
and so that part's fun to me, and it relates to what we do in branding because it's the stories from the moonshiners, and we help people to tell their story, which is really what branding is. You tell
Yeah.
your story, and it lets people know what you're all about, both professionally and personally, and they either gravitate to that or they're, repelled by that. And
Right.
either one is okay depending on what your objective is.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's awesome. I mean, coming from a storied background like that and actually, being vulnerable enough to share it. I think that's what it is too, Tanya. I think a lot of it is being vulnerable enough and open enough to kind of share some of these inside tidbits of yourself publicly.
It is, and that's not for everybody. I realize that, I don't want anybody listening thinking they have to bear their, most horrific secrets of life. You don't have to do that at all. Just so happened that, alcoholism and addiction runs in both sides of my family, my dad's side and my mom's side, and it's very rampant. And so I grew up with that, fortunately escaped it all myself. Thank God.
That's awesome.
But I grew up surrounded by that. And so it's just been a part of life that, one of the main goals in my life, and actually it's one of the biggest reasons BrandFace was started, because I could tell at an early age that really the biggest difference between, let's say, some young person waiting on a stoop for their next drug deal and a young person going off to college with a hopeful future is self-worth and belief in themselves and understanding that there's something unique and special about them. And to me, that's what personal branding is telling your story, finding that inner star, putting it out there so that you feel comfortable in your own skin, you feel proud and confident yourself, and that confidence shows with everybody that you come into contact with. And there's just something about the human element. We all root for the underdog. We all appreciate the fact that not everybody's life has been perfect. So it's up to you how much you share, but that's why, honestly, that's why BrandFace got started.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So everybody, I was reading an article in Housing Wire the other day, great publication, and they were just talking about how social media now has become one of the best places to get your leads. It's something that we probably already knew for some time, but now, people report on it like way after. But and it seems like, especially real estate agents, not so much on the mortgage side, but especially real estate agents are trying to get their brand out there in a really, really crowded field all of a sudden. All of a sudden, everybody wants to do a video. All of a sudden, everybody wants to be on Facebook or TikTok or whatever it may be. And, how does in this crowded, loud, industry, how does someone stand out? You know what I mean? Like you said, yes, but there's other people doing this at the same time. And some people might be discouraged by the fact of, how do I start doing this? How, like, my videos suck. I'm not that great, so on and so forth.
I have a theory before you answer, see if I'm right.
Okay.
I would think that in a crowded space like that, the thing that's going to make you stand out and be top of mind is consistency and constant front of face. That'd be my guess.
Good guess.
Tell me if I'm wrong.
No, you're not wrong at all. Those are two very critical parts of standing out in the world, because you can't stand out by being a flash in a pan. One day you have a video out, 2 months later you have another one out.
Right.
The next week you have one social media post. You have to be very consistent. To me, it all starts with, what is your story? Because if you think about it like this, if you are a real estate agent and you're coming and you start to look at your marketing expenses and you think, okay, I'm going to spend $2,000 a month on marketing, or $5,000 or whatever it is. And you start looking at the different types of marketing. The first question you have is, where should I market myself? Okay. Now, in order to understand that, you've got to know who your ideal customers are. And your ideal customers are never everyone. That can't be the case, because you go broke trying to reach them all. So you figure out, who are those ideal customers, the ones I'm willing to spend my money on. Doesn't mean I turn down business. Doesn't mean I only do business with these people, but where am I willing to spend my time, money, and effort? So you look there first. Then you've got to figure out, what is it they're looking for? What are they seeking in a real estate agent that I can offer and be different with it? And so it goes back to those 5 questions, honestly. When you answer those 5 questions with great specificity, then you have what's called the beginnings of a brand. And now you've just got to put it together. What does it look like now? How do I explain that in my brand messaging? How do I get this story across? And we, have formulas that we take people through to say, okay, what's your story? Yours is very unique. Now let's take it through the same steps we take every personal brand through. Even though it's the same steps, every brand is very uniquely different. But it does start with that story, those 5 questions. And if you can answer those, you will have a very strong brand that stands out, because they're expecting you to do I sell real estate. If you or someone wants to buy or sell a home, interest rates are low, and I can, even though you're, maybe buying at the top of the market, you're also selling at the top of the market. I mean, those things are old, right? We want to know who we're doing business with and why we trust our business to that person. It does all start with that.
Now, you at the beginning of the show, you said you had some topics. One of them was 4 marketing failures.
Yep.
4.
Yep.
So let's talk about some of these 4 marketing failures, because this goes back to, what you have to do to get your brand out there. So what are some of the 4 failures that you see commonly?
Okay, perfect segue into this topic. So the very first one is no differentiation. So in other words, when I say what sets you apart from everybody else in your industry, you have to be specific. And again, it could be anything that sets you apart professionally or personally, putting those 2 things together. But you've got to be different, because that's the problem. We have what's called a sea of sameness. Everybody's out there saying, this is what I do. I have this much experience in it, and we've helped this many people. Well, that's good, but we need to know more about why they should do business with you over 18 of the other same people just down the block that have the same credentials.
Yeah. So that's okay. So 1, no difference.
Yeah. No difference. And let me just add to that too, guys. So a few years ago, I was on the phone with this agent, and she said to me, I'm pretty well branded already, Tanya. I'm really well known in my market. When I walk into a restaurant, everybody knows me. They know, hey, there's Sherry. She's a realtor. She said, everybody knows I'm a realtor. And I said, you know what? That's great. It's a great start, but let me challenge your thought process. What if I go in there and I say, oh, there's Sherry. I know she's a realtor, but I look, and 2 tables to the left, there's Brad, the realtor. 2 tables to the right, there's Paul, the realtor. Now, who do I choose?
Right.
Okay. So you're not giving me enough points of differentiation there. I don't know enough about any one of you right now to tell me whether I should do business with you, if all I know is that you're 3 realtors.
Right. Right. So you've got to get deeper almost. You've got to get into in the weeds of who you are and what how you set yourself apart. Okay. I like that. Number 2.
No defined target. We just talked about that too.
Yep.
Defined target. Because when you don't define specifically who your ideal customers are, you don't know 2 things. You don't know where to market or what to put in your marketing that's going to attract those people.
That's
other
awesome.
Than the generic stuff that everybody puts into their marketing. We always like to say, if you try to help everyone, all you'll do is help yourself right out of business.
That's awesome. Okay, so no defined target. And that when we're talking about definition, we're talking about, we're going deep. Like a lot of people, a lot of people can do this stuff, but it's not deep enough. I think that's a common theme so far.
Correct.
All right. Number 3.
No personality. Okay.
No personality. Okay. That I think we're all right on.
Yeah.
Paul's got none of that shit.
No personality. So what that means is, people instinctively want to know the story behind the face, right? And just in the case of my dad's memoir, for instance, people will mention it to me these days because they've heard that I've worked on the book and they've heard part of that story, and they connect with me there, because who doesn't know somebody who has suffered through addiction or alcoholism somewhere in their family? And so it's of interest to them to at least engage or start the conversation or kick open a door, right? So when imagine when you're walking into a big room, a networking event, in a big room of people, a lot of people, and a lot of people know who you are and they may know what you do. But when somebody walks up to you and says, so, how's the mortgage business, right? How different is that than somebody walks up and say, hey, I heard about your dad's book. What prompted you to write that? To me, who's going to end up doing business with which one is that person going to most likely end up doing business with? The person they know more intimately.
Yeah.
It truly is. And so those personal things about you, like when we post things about, going kayaking, things like that, people will reach out to us and say, hey, I saw you guys kayak this particular river. What's it like? And we can engage with them on that level. And that's just that personal touch that you don't always get if you don't share the personal side. And I think that's where a lot of people get hung up on social media as well. They think that everything has to be business, business, business.
Right. It doesn't have to be, because people in today's world want to know who they're working with, know, love, and trust who they're working with. Number 4.
This is going to be a favorite for Brad. No consistency.
Yes.
Anything worth doing is worth doing well, and anything worth doing well is worth doing often.
Right. Consistency is, I think, one of the hardest things. You could do all the other things right, but if you don't have consistency, none of it matters, does it?
No, it doesn't. No. And Michael said, he has a great quote called, success is the consistency you practice when you can't see the immediate benefit of the results.
Correct. Yeah.
So in other words, you can practice consistency for a while and not see any fruits of your labor yet, but hang in there because you will.
Yes, I agree with that completely. And I think it's a common theme that you and I have talked about, is the consistency of action over a period of time where you're not getting the results that you might want, but you're still being consistent. That's the hard part.
It is, because it's you feel defeated at times. You really do. And I'm no stranger to that. When we've been going at this for quite some time, and there have been times where in the past where I've thought, my goodness, is there anything ever going to come of this? Right. In the early years. And then you realize, you get in your own kind of groove. For me, it was putting on my shoes. I would say, I know this sounds crazy, guys, but when I get really frustrated, I would just put on my tennis shoes and go walk for an hour. And that was my happy place. That was my thought place, where I'd turn off my phone, I go walk, and I always had the answers to my questions at the end of the walk. That's always awesome. Did.
That's awesome.
And different people handle it different ways, but when you consistently do something, you consistently have to remind yourself that you should be consistently doing it. So there's 2 parts to that. You have to kick yourself in the butt over and over, consistently do that too, so that you stay on track.
Would you say that building a personal brand is hard?
No, I would not say it's hard at all. I think that it can be perceived as being hard because you're sitting there thinking, well, I've got all these different things about me that are different, right? We don't just have one point of differentiation as human beings. We have many. I could have a conversation with Brad 10 minutes later, tell him 8 different things that really make him unique. But then the question is, okay, well, what do I lead with in my marketing? How do I position myself utilizing one or a blend of those even to set myself apart in terms of marketing myself in this industry, set myself apart from other people? And I don't know that there's really a magic answer to that. I think that pick something, for goodness sake, right? That something that is compelling, and that's where you got to know your ideal audience too. Because that ideal customer, whatever you campaign on or position yourself as, has to be both important and significant to your ideal customer. Important and unique. Important to them. It's going to matter to them, and it needs to be unique to them. They don't just see it every day.
Right. So it isn't that hard. As crowded as the field is, I think the biggest thing is the consistency factor that kind of removes people from it, because people will do great things for a month, 2 months, 3 months, even 4 months, 5 months. And then it gets to be work, right? And then they just kind of fall off and decide that, I'm not seeing the results I wanted, and they stop, right?
Happens all the time. All the
Happened to
time.
me, man. I wanted to lose some weight. I worked out once in the spring, and it just didn't happen. So
It didn't happen for you.
Well, your want to lose weight is also coupled with your want to eat horrible food.
True, very true. I love food.
One of those is winning, Brad.
Yeah.
You're
One of
right.
those is what
It's the taste buds for sure.
the taste buds.
Exactly. But another thing that I'd love to address is people say all the time, well, it takes too long to build a brand. For goodness sake, I'll starve by the time my brand is built, right?
Right.
Okay, well, I'm gonna shoot that one in the foot right now, because that is not true. Time, yes, of course, brands are built even more over time. They're built bigger, they command a larger audience over time. Of course, those are built over time. But a brand is built with every impression, every single impression. So let's take two circumstances. Let's just say you've got one person who has a brand out there, and who has a really good, well-defined brand, and they put it out there. They might post once or twice a week. They might do one video a month. Okay, how long is it going to take that person for people to know what they stand for, to continue to market themselves? That's going to take a long time.
Yeah.
But if you live your brand and breathe your brand, and every single thing you do in business is about getting that brand out there, like, what is it that you stand for? Well, how are you positioned in your marketplace? And if you infuse it into everything you do every day, so it's on your business cards that you hand out, every time you post, you include some sort of clever, mention of the brand, or some visual part of the brand, or your logos there. If you do 2 or 3 videos a week, super short, you can even cut one and divide it into 3, but you're getting 3 impressions then instead of 1. Every time you send out a thank you card, it needs to be on branded stationery with your photo there, what you stand for. I mean, I could go on and on. Your email drip campaigns to your clients that remind them of certain things throughout the year need to remind them of why you're the best fit for them and exactly what is unique about you in every single email that you send. So everything is related. And if you keep doing that in every facet of your business, your brand is built so much faster, and it's not really built upon time. It is built upon impressions.
Got it. Is there a fear of over posting? Like, I'm going to get crazy, and I'm going to do 5 videos a week, and I'm going to do 3 posts a day. Like, is there an oversaturation potential?
That's a very good question, and I think most people battle with. And you're going to probably be split right down the middle between people. And I really would prefer to err on the side of posting more. I can tell you that.
Yeah.
I really believe that the more you get your message out there, but don't be stupid about it, right? Be meaningful about it. Don't just put stuff out there just to throw something out there and say, look at me, I'm this realtor, or I'm this mortgage person. Do it in terms of, how does it help your customer? If you always contribute with that thought in mind, how am I helping them today? How am I helping them in this video? How am I helping them in this email? What am I doing for them today? That's a huge difference. So if you can do that enough to do it 10 times a day, do it 10 times a day.
That's awesome.
And if you're just trying to fill a void, don't bother.
Don't bother doing it. Yeah, but it should have some meaningful content. You don't want to just throw fluff out there all the time either.
Meaningful? Well, there's several different types of content out there. And I love the word meaningful, but there's educational and informative.
Yep.
There's inspirational and motivational.
Yep.
And there's humorous, right? Yep. Humorous or moving, right?
Yeah.
Moving. And to me, those are the 3 main types of content that you can put out there, but you can have fun. You can, like, entertaining, when we do the kayaking stuff or the camping stuff, that's more entertaining. And we will, like, for instance, we went camping as soon as COVID hit a couple of years ago. We decided, screw this, we're out of here. We went camping for a while. Right. And on one of our camping trips, we ran into a sign right along a river, and it said wrong way. And it was a green sign. How many green signs have you seen?
That's wrong way.
Yes, a green sign. And so we posted just a short little video or a photo about it that says, wrong way. Is your brand headed the wrong way? we can talk to you about this, right? And so those are and just kind of clever remarks about it being a green sign, right? And so those are things that are entertaining, they're unique. They're not your typical branding stuff, but we were able to infuse a little touch of brand in there so that they never forget what we do.
I love that. I love that. So those are the 4 marketing failures that you feel are the most. So let's go through them one more time. You got to be specific. There's no difference between, you've got to make sure that there's a difference between you. You need a defined target, consistency. I'm missing one.
No personality.
No personality. That's what it is.
Yeah. Put the personal in there too. A lot of people are afraid to do that. And I say that's the one thing that people are going to remember about you. For instance, when we do speaking engagements, I will often leave the stage with one question. And right before I leave, I'll say, what was it you guys remembered most about me today? Yeah. And almost every one of them out there will say something about selling vacuum cleaners and moonshine, right?
Yeah.
They won't say anything about branding because what does the mind remember? The mind remembers the very interesting personal things.
Right.
And so if you can relate that to branding as you go throughout your content that you put out, that's even, imagine that. I mean, how much greater can it be? Entertaining and informative.
100%. Now, a lot of people just feel like they probably can't do this. I don't think there's a can't in here. I think it's people that just do it. And you don't have to, I don't believe that you have to be absolutely great. The videos don't have to be polished. I think doing something.
Look what we do.
I know we do shitty shows.
Don't have to be polished at all.
Yeah. But at the end of the day, doing something is going to be worth it over doing nothing.
It is, except how much of your time and money do you want to waste doing something that's not defined?
Yeah. Well, you
kind of got to look at it. But you're right. Being out there, at least being out there is good. It's good. Yeah. But how much better would it be if you're out there and well-defined, developed, and displayed in a unique way?
100%.
People will look at you and say, okay, who's my realtor? Well, my realtor is John Smith, or my realtor is Kathy White, the lifestyle locator. Which one's more intriguing? Which one do I remember?
Lifestyle locator. I like that.
Lifestyle locator is one of our licensable brands.
That's awesome.
And and
that's
so
really awesome.
And there's a difference there too. We can talk about this today, or we can come back some other time and talk about licensable brand identifiers versus unique, to the person brand identifiers.
Yeah.
Your story doesn't change either way. It's just, what do you lead with? It's kind of like a political candidate is campaigning on a certain platform to win the race, right? And what
we should lie.
Platform?
Stop, Brad.
Okay, let's go back.
I mean, everyone can agree that all politicians lie. They all lie.
Jesus,
they do all lie, but they get elected based on a platform
of lies.
Right.
I'll sit on a throne of lies.
Brad, don't get political with Brad. Brad's going to go off on a deep end.
At least they define their lies.
Very true.
They are defined lies.
They're defined, developed, and displayed lies.
And
very well defined, displayed lies.
Which we don't condone here at BrandFace. We're about being very authentic.
Yeah.
But most people understand that whole platform, running on a certain platform. That's a lot like positioning yourself in an industry.
Yeah. All right. And then the other topic we wanted to talk about, and this I think will hit home to a lot of listeners that are in the industry, 5 fears and frustrations of the real estate professional.
That's a mouthful.
Yep.
Yeah, I got it. Yep. 5 fears and frustrations of the real estate professional. You've narrowed it down to 5 because I feel like there's a lot.
There's a lot. In fact, we did a survey not long ago and came up with 11. Actually, it was long ago. It was about 6 or 7 years ago. We came up with 11. But over the years, we figured that most of them fall into these 5 categories.
All right. Let's roll through them.
All right. Number 1 is fear of focus, because people think if they focus in on their ideal customer or what they stand for, either one of those areas, that they're shutting somebody out. They're saying, don't do business with me to a large contingent of people.
Right.
And that's not what we're really about. However, it's really important to focus, because if, let's just say, for instance, we have an agent that's known, well, we have several, but one that's known as a transition agent. Transition agent is somebody who helps somebody well, in this specific case, this specific person helps people transition from living, like maybe they've lived in their home 35 years. They're getting ready to transition out of that home into more independent or assisted living type of a situation. That's a huge transition for them. And not only that, for their entire family when it comes to that phase of life. So she is known as a transition agent. She even has a counselor on her team to talk to people, come in and talk to the whole family and say, here's what's involved in a transition like this. First of all, you have all these things in your home. We want to talk about what goes where. What do we do with the things that, no one knows where they go? How do we prepare you for these things, right? And so when we first branded her that way and helped position her in that spot, she called me within a week or so and said, you wouldn't believe it. She said, all I have to do, and we hadn't even finished the brand yet, by the way, we were just beginning it. She said, all I have to do is walk up to somebody and tell them my elevator pitch and introduce myself as a transition agent. She said, I almost see stars in their eyes when they say to me, oh my gosh, that's what you do? That's exactly where I am in my life right now. And instantly there's rapport, there's understanding. They feel like there's no other real estate agent in the world to work with them except this woman.
Wow.
And so that fear of focus, can be turned into, and imagine how many of those situations exist.
Yeah.
Right? You're not narrowing your work, you are streamlining it.
Right. That's interesting. Okay. So fear of focus of what that, because they're worried they're going to lose. Okay. Number 2.
Fear of competition.
Yeah.
Okay. But here's one thing that a client down in New Orleans said to us. Her name's Leslie Smith. She said, I don't have to compete anymore once she finished her brand. Because she said, if you know what sets you apart from competitors, you have no competitors. That's
great. Mm-hmm. That is great. All right. Number 3.
Fear of overwhelm.
Overwhelming.
It's very easy to get overwhelmed by all the marketing options, all the shiny crap out there.
Yeah.
It's all over the place. And I just had an email sent yesterday. This woman typed me an email this long and said, look, I paid this other company. I spent this much. They told me they were endorsed by the NAR. They were not. They told me this. They were not. They told me this. Now, it's not a direct personal branding company competitor for us at all. It's somebody that does, branding through video. So they don't build brands. They just help promote their brands through video. Right. And so she said, she had a whole list of questions. She said, I'd like to do business with you guys, but please answer all of these for me first, because she got burned.
Yeah.
So we're going to answer all of our questions, but that fear of overwhelm becomes so much easier once you narrow down and you know exactly who you're talking to. Then it becomes much easier to find them. Where are they spending their time? They could be spending their time a lot of places, but pick 2 or 3 and go in those veins where they are spending their time and communicate directly with them. And that overwhelm just kind of subsides a little bit because you can't do it all.
Right. Right. Number 4.
Fear of failure.
Yeah.
We've all experienced that. You will fail. There is no question about it. I've failed many times in my life, and I don't like to think that I'm unique in that.
Right.
If I am, somebody please tell me. But yeah, you just embrace it, learn from it, and use it.
Yeah, I feel like you've got to have failure to have success. Otherwise, there's no success. So you've got to fail. And number 5.
Fear of investment.
Yep.
You've been burned. That's it. You've tried it all. Everybody told you it was the next best thing since sliced bread. It was very, very shiny, practically made you blind. And you bought it and it didn't work, right? But here's the one thing I want to say about that. That happens a lot in terms of marketing vehicles, right? Anything that you can help to better yourself and market yourself. And the reason that happens a lot in marketing is because they haven't done the number one thing they need to do, which is define, develop, and display what they stand for. And once that's done, then the marketing doesn't look like everybody else's. It's not, just your regular, everyday, ordinary marketing. It becomes very unique and very different. And so fear of investment really goes away once you define all of that and you know exactly what you stand for.
That's amazing. I mean, so focus, competition, getting overwhelmed, failure, and investment. Those are the 5 things that real estate professionals are scared of, they get frustrated with, and pretty much stops them from doing a lot of the stuff that they should be doing to get their brand out there. Right.
Right.
Yeah. Where do you think real estate agents and mortgage professionals or real estate professionals should be marketing themselves mostly? Is it Facebook? Is it TikTok? Should they be on TikTok? Is it right? Where should they be?
I have 2 answers to that. Number 1, you've got to follow your ideal customers. Okay. Right. So a lot of our personal branding customers, they're not on TikTok yet. Right. They're mostly Facebook and Instagram right now. Right. And of course, we reach them a lot through email, and we reach them a whole lot through podcasts. Yeah. So that's the first thing you've got to answer. And that's why it's so important that you have that ideal customer really narrowed down. I think we went through our HEAP criteria last time when we were with you. It's like, how do you know who those people are? And those were the HEAP criteria we talked about. And I can go through them again if you want, but that's the first thing. The second thing you need to know is, where's your comfort level? Okay, I would encourage everybody to get out of their comfort zone and go for video. There's no question about it. It's the next best thing to being there. I think that's a very old Memorex cassette tape commercial from 30, 40 years ago, right?
You're aging yourself.
The next best thing to being there, right?
Yeah.
But video truly is the next best thing to being there. And they get to see you, your personality, your sincerity, your liveliness, all of those kind of things that they don't always see in just an audio podcast or an email or something, or a social media post that you put out there. Right. So I encourage people to get out that comfort zone. But when I say do what your comfort level is, some people prefer funny videos and really unique and super creative ones. And if their audience is on TikTok, creativity is through the roof on TikTok. Right. Absolutely through the roof. Right. If they prefer more educational series of videos, YouTube is a great place to be. Right. If their audience is on Facebook, here's what's beautiful about all of that. You can create content that absolutely can go across all 3 of those, especially now that YouTube's doing shorts. Yep. The YouTube shorts. You can use the same ones on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube, and also Facebook as well. So the days of certain specific content done here, but you can't do that type of content here, you have to do something totally different over here, that's kind of beginning to fade a bit because of the cross reference of all the different types of content that you can multi-purpose.
Yeah, that's the thing about videos. You can cut it up and you can do a lot with it. You really can.
Sure. Yeah, you can edit out fucking cell phone ringing in the middle of a podcast, like a jackass.
I can't help that my phone rang. I mean, what do you want me to do?
It wasn't
Turn your phone on silent.
I guess
you can just use the beauty of editing and just edit that out later.
But I would like to edit you out of the whole show. Actually, that's what I would like to do.
That's his brand right there. Edit out Brad.
That's his brand.
No, his brand is just letting his phone ring in the middle.
No, you are. Your brand is you're an asshole. How about that?
That is true.
So,
I'm an honest asshole.
Tanya, we're running out of time, although we could talk about this stuff forever because I really love it. So we're going to get to 5 questions. But before we do that, anything you want to leave us with? Any tips?
I think just be real, be authentic, right? You hear that word, it gets tossed around a whole lot. I don't want to be like everybody else, but you've got to, I think what sets us apart, and what should set everybody apart is being authentic. Both, you can't be something that you're not, don't try to create a brand that doesn't exist, right? Be yourself, both professionally, because you have strengths professionally, everybody does, and be yourself personally. If you're, whatever you like to do on the personal side of your life, put a little bit of it out there. You don't have to put everything out there. Put a little bit so people get to know you as a person. It's huge. You hear everybody say that, but there's a reason everybody says that.
I love it. I love it. All right. So we're going to get to 3 questions, 3 random questions. You ready, Tanya?
I hope so.
All right. And hopefully we don't ask you one that we asked you in the last show. If you had to eat one food for the rest of your life, what would it be and why?
Oh man, I have a great affinity for ice cream, and my favorite would be orange sickle, like kind of like orange sherbet mixed with vanilla bean.
Dreamsicle. Yeah.
That's it. Dreamsicle. That's it.
Brad knows it. Brad's like, I want it right now.
Oh God, that's my favorite. If I could just eat that and never have a worry about gaining a single pound or inch, that's like what I'd eat every day.
Or you could just be like Brad and not care and let yourself go.
Don't give up. That's a part of being authentic and accepting.
Yeah, you're authentically overweight.
I don't care.
So Brad, do you have any other questions?
So with the moonshine thing, and so we'll go with beer. What is your favorite, not by taste or your preference, but what's your favorite brand as far as like a beer company? Like who does a good job in branding?
There's no
beer.
question.
I feel like is everywhere, right?
There's no question. Budweiser takes the cake in branding. Yeah. There's absolutely no question. I saw the Clydesdales on I-75, the big Clydesdale trucks carrying the Clydesdales to an event over the weekend when we were traveling back from Ohio, and it just like warmed my heart. And I think of the polar bears sliding down the hill with the Coca-Cola, right? Of course, that's not beer, but I think of things like that just evoke this sense of like nostalgia, I think. So the Clydesdales and then the Budweiser frogs that for some reason disappeared after 1 year. Remember those?
Yeah. I think it was like 2 years, wasn't it?
Why?
Was it 2 years?
Well, first they were iguanas, weren't they, for a while?
I don't know. There were frogs. There were frogs that
I remember the frogs. I don't remember the iguanas, but it could have been. But I just love everything about it. It's just like, hey, this beer's been around forever. This is the beer of your ancestors. Your granddaddy drank this. You should drink Budweiser, right? And I don't drink Budweiser. I don't like it. But I love their branding.
Their branding, yeah, I love it. Yeah, you're right. You know their brand. You see the Clydesdales, you know what brand that is. They've done a really good job with that. Next question is, what is your favorite holiday movie?
A Christmas Story.
Yes, it's so good.
You're gonna shoot your eye out, Paul.
That's the best one. That's why they play it all day long. Yeah, but they have.
In my front window of my house, I have a full-size
leg lamp.
He bought a leg lamp. He really did. He's got the leg lamp.
It was not cheap.
It was not cheap. It came in a fragile box.
Yes,
fragile.
A crate.
A fragile crate. Every time I get something through Amazon that has like a fragile sticker on it, I say fragile.
Fragile.
In a crate with the stamp. Fragile on it. Everything was like awesome. The whole thing. It was great.
It's a quintessential dysfunctional family, crazy kind of like, like everybody can imagine themselves at some point being in that family.
Yes. There's parts of it that everybody has lived. So that's awesome. That's awesome. Well, Tanya, tell the audience how they can get a hold of you if they need to get a hold of you, if they want a brand specialist that knows their shit.
I appreciate that, first of all. Okay. Yeah. So if you want to learn more about us, view some reviews on our site, go to BrandFaceStar.com, BrandFaceStar.com. If you want to talk to us and you're convinced, hey, you know what? I can't answer those 5 questions, or I can, but my brand doesn't display those 5 questions, go to DiscussYourBrand.com, and that's where you can schedule a call with us.
I love it. I love it. Tanya, thank you so much for doing the show with us. I know your other half wasn't with us today, but please tell him I said hi. And you have a wonderful, wonderful day.
Thank you, guys. I really appreciate it, especially getting to hear the brand conversation between the two of you. I'll be very interested to see what you finally come up with.
Yeah, we'll come up with some stuff. Next time I talk to you, we'll have better answers for you. But I love it.
No, you had good answers, both of you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for doing our show. It is so appreciated.
You are appreciated. Absolutely. Thank you, guys. And Merry Christmas and Happy New Year and all that fun stuff. If I don't
Absolutely.
Talk to you
right back at you. Yeah. I'll be watching Christmas Story all day Christmas.
Yep. Every Christmas.
Me too.
Yep. All right. See you soon.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye. A lot of good stuff there, Brad.
Lots of good stuff.
Yeah.
Good
you need I know that you need a better brand. I learned that from that. No, you're okay with your brand. I got work to do. I got stuff like I try to do
lots of work
branding.
to do. Yeah, you're a fucking hot mess.
Jesus, man. Oh, man. All right. That's our show, everyone. For those of you that have stuck around, thank you for listening to our show. We much appreciate it. Please go to Facebook.com/IRE podcast if you want to see us live. You can go to YouTube to see us live as well. You can go to IREpodcast.com or anywhere that you listen to podcasts or consume them. Please like, share, subscribe. Give us a review if you do so, please, and you do feel that we are worth it. If not, please leave us alone. Thank you, and have a wonderful day. We will talk to you next week.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
You've been listening to Inside Real Estate, the nation's top real estate podcast. Don't forget to follow us at irepodcast.com and everywhere where podcasts are available.